everybody, and from ATC Studio here, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today's video, this is going to be the second episode of a series where I'm going to be giving you some top tips on how to get started with Death Guard. Now, just before I begin, a very quick disclaimer: this video is entirely unofficial and all pictures belong to games from their respective artists. But with that over with, let's dive straight into it. Now, as far as battle boxes are concerned, there are the three main ones: No Fear, Dark Imperium, and of course First Strike. Now, I think No Fear is the best one to buy because it's something in the middle. It's not too expensive. Dark Imperium doesn't give you too much extra for almost double the price, which is why if you want to get one of those cheap star sets, get No Fear. It's got the Photo Blow Drone, which is £30 otherwise in it. It's also got the Lord of Contagion, which you can't get on its own, which is quite a good model. And also you can always model the Lord of Contagion as Typhus, because then you get the psychic powers and the plasma strength and toughness of the Poxwalkers. So overall a decent starting kit. Don't get the just easy to build collection, because the issue with that collection is that A, not proper unit sizes, and B, it's not actually a good thing. I think No Fear is certainly the best of the three boxes, but you don't have to get No Fear. You can still, of course, always get Dark Imperium. Now, Dark Imperium is a lot more. It's £45 more, but you still get quite a lot more. You get 2 more Plague Marines, and you also get a good, decent model on the you get an actual champion model. However, again, it doesn't matter if you don't use it, but you get the Noxious Blightbringer and the Playcaster, which are unique to this box and very important for a decent list, because the Blightbringer is a good elite. I'm surprised they've not actually released it on its own yet, and the Playcaster is the best psyker. It's only a little more expensive than the Sorcerer, but it's genuinely a lot better. And although you can also get these quite cheap on eBay, so you can just get Dark Imperium plus these two, and of course you still get the good value Photo Blow Drone. This is still a very good value set, and of course if you've got a friend who also wants to start, you can give them the other army, so it's certainly worth it. And of course if not, you can sell it on eBay. And you do get the rulebooks as well. Now, First Strike's okay. You get a map. Now, the problem with First Strike, actually no, sorry, it's not that good. The problem with Dark Imperium is you don't get any scenery. With First Strike, you do get both a map and a few crates, which is quite useful. Although, of course, No Fear does also get a bunker and a map. The problem with First Strike is you don't have full unit sizes, and you only get 3 Plague Marines and 6 Poxwalkers, which you can get from the Games Workshop web store themselves for just 20 quid, and First Strike's 25 quid, so there's really not too much point in buying it. And if you want to get started, I certainly buy the other boxes, because they're quite a lot better. Now, although I did mention that you can model the Lord of Contagion into Typhus, the Typhus model himself is certainly very good, especially if you've got it with No Fear, because although Dark Imperium is useful because it comes with a battalion, No Fear doesn't, so useful to get that extra HQ as well as an extra troop choice, but they're not too expensive. So overall, a decent model that you need in a good army, but it just depends whether people you're playing with just accept you using as a Lord of Contagion as a proxy, or you can just simply model it, so just chop the end off. So chop the Plague Reaper off, path the Plague Reaper off, stick it at the end, and it looks more like a Man Reaper, which is what I personally do. So yes, it's worth getting. It's quite expensive at 25 quid, so again, if possible, just use a proxy, or if you're not going to have many Poxwalkers, there's not really much point using him at all. But certainly, the last HQ that's decent to get. Now, this next set, which is the Easy to Build Lord Felthius and Tainted Cohort, it's very cheap. What you effectively get is 3 Blight Launchers and a named character that's a Lord of Contagion. However, it's a bit unclear whether you can use these in competitive play, as one of them is in the Codex, I think one isn't. One of them's got the points value, one don't. You both get day sheets, so it's quite confusing. But you can get this, use the Blight Lord Terminators as to add to any Blight Lord Terminators you have, and use the named character as a Lord of Contagion. However, the problem is if you do use Falcus as a Lord of Contagion, he's got 40mm instead of 50mm base size, so it's not really that practical, which is why I wouldn't get this set. Although, again, if your opponents really aren't that fussy, you can get it. Although the problem is with the Terminators, Blight Lord Terminators, sorry, just went out of my head, is that they I think one of them's got the Plague Spewer, but no so some of them have melee weapons and some of them don't, only have ranged weapons, so you can't really use them together. So in all, it's very cheap, but it's not a great kit, so I probably wouldn't buy it. Now next up, we've got this Death Guard plus paint set, so you basically get 6 basic paint and 3 Plague Marines. Now, of course, this is quite good. The Plague Marines on their own are 10 quid, and you get some quite decent paints. And so you could theoretically just get this and the glue and get some cheap. So you can build and paint and just about paint your models while also getting some Plague Marines. However, I would advise if you're starting, just getting the starting paint set, because that's got, I think, 12 colours and the glue and pliers all included, so it's certainly a lot better if you actually want to building and making your models look very good. So yes, you can get that paint set, but again, I would advise getting the bundle of paint, which is 20 quid. Sorry, haven't just checked. I think it might actually be 25 quid. But anyway, let's get on. So you can get this nice squad of 7 Plague Marines. Now, yes, it's 30 quid, and yes, you can get them cheaper, but this is good. You get some good weapon choices, you get a full squad, I think you get the champion in there, you certainly use these as reinforcements, again, so they're very good. 7, Nurgle's magic number. Also, the Plague Marines, the thing is, if you're going to equip them with 2 Blight Launchers, which is what you'll mostly want to equip them with, you're going to want, and maybe the champion with a plasma gun and a power fist, you're not going to want them to die too easily, and with that setup, you've just 3 of them and then they're dead, so it's much better to have them in squads of 7, because then they have to choose through quite a few of them before they get to the actual good unit, so certainly something good to add to your collection. Of course, you can also get the Hackle 3 easy to build Plague Marines. It's cheaper, but again, lots of people don't like the easy to build, and yes, you can get it, especially if you've got Dark Imperium. You can get these 3 and then you can put them in 2 squads of 5, so you can do, but if you want to, I wouldn't like them because I don't like easy to build stuff, but of course you can if you're quite new and you don't like doing all the glue. Certainly worth it. I also want to very quickly mention that if you want to get Popswalkers, don't get the pack of 6 easy to build. You can get them very cheaply on eBay. You can get about 7 quid for 10 of them from Dark Imperium. But anyway, now on to the elites. We've got the Blight Lord Terminators. They're Terminators. They're quite good. You have them with the combi weapons, but I didn't like the Blight Lord Terminators because I think they're too expensive, which is why I wouldn't get this set, although it is quite good value. And instead, if you were to want Terminators, well, Deep Strike, you have Lord of Contagion, but I prefer the Death Shroud Terminators. Now, I prefer these as, although they are only 3 of them, then constantly not as good value, they are actually still quite good value because you still get 3 very detailed, very good looking models that will still take you quite a bit of time to build and paint. And of course, they're ridiculously good. If you Deep Strike and then charge with them, you get 13 attacks at 8 minus 3d3, which is, to be honest, pretty ridiculous for a unit that's only 126 points. However, they're not the best at the start because you don't get much points for your money, so if you want to start collecting, they're not necessarily a cheap way to build up to a decent list, so I won't get them at the start, but they're certainly an advisable model to get, especially if you want some Terminators deep striking in the back and posing some threat and needing them to keep back to defend from the deep strikes. And if they don't, you could be wrecking tanks. Now on to the next elite, we've got the Teleman. Certainly if you've got Dark Imperium, the Noxious Blightbringer gives a lot of buffs for movement and enemy leadership nerfs. And of course, you're going to want the Teleman in your 2k list. at the end of the day, you're going to have a Teleman. It's a cheap HQ that you're just going to want to have. Well, not HQ Elite. So, yeah, because first of all, every time you spend a command point, and if you've got him in your list, you roll 2d6 on an exact 7. You get the command point back, which is of course quite useful, and so he's consequently worth it because he's quite cheap HQ. Of course, he does still get his plasma pistol, and he also gives some rerolls of all failed hit rolls in the fight phase for units within 7 inches, which is very useful. And he's a really cool looking model. He's got that nice cute Nurgling by his side, and he's writing down, and he's not too expensive at 1750. Certainly a cool model to get, and yeah, definitely worth buying. Now, the other elite that's very good is the Foulblight spawn, and although I think the Biologist Putridifyer and whatever the other one's called, Plague Surgeon, aren't that good, the Foulblight spawn is certainly one of the better ones. Gets a flamer, does a lot of damage. Pain if you charge models with them, it counts if you didn't charge. Very useful model, worth it. He's gonna give you some really strong short range firepower, and whenever he encounters travels, he's always useful, so buy him, he's cheap. Now, the Hellbrute, although it's really not that good a model, but if you're just starting small, as opposed to getting the tanks, which are more like 40 quid, Hellbrute's just 33 quid, so he's a good elite choice, and if you equip him with las cannons and missile launcher, he'll still be hitting on 3s, so although he's not the best of models, he's worth it. And then of course later on, once you've got some big tanks that you've modelled up, you can equip him with 2 Halberd Fists and 2 Heavy Flamers, which means it's going to be a scary thing coming down the board, and if it gets close, it's going to do a lot of damage. So yeah. Now, also, personally, my favourite, if you want to get started, is the Mephitic Blight Hauler, because what you get is you get the Missile Launcher, Multi-Melter, the Bile Spurt, and a really cool model for just £15, which is ridiculously cheap, and you give lots of buffs, everything gets cover, so if when you're just starting, as soon as you've got No Fear of Dark Imperium, if you get one of these, you're going to get those buffs as well as some good long-range firepower. So he's certainly worth getting a Blight Hauler. And although lots of people don't like Easter builds at the start, if you're not confident with building, you can always get these. And although the Plague Whisperers might be slightly better with heavy fire, these are certainly a cool model. They're cheap to buy, they give some buffs, and they're going to do long range firepower, and they're not that terrible, so they can still be in your list really forever. So they're certainly worth buying. But now as we go on to heavy support, I guess also a quick note, Photo Bloat Drone is too expensive. Just you're gonna have 1 or 2 if you've got No Fear and possibly Dark Imperium. So yeah. And of course the Plagueburst Crawler is the best heavy support option that the Death Guard have. You can have him with the mortar, the heavy slugger, so basically a heavy bolt gun which does 4 shots, and of course the 2 entry cannons, which also basically las cannons. The problem is he does hit on 4s, which is a bit annoying. It is quite expensive at 40 quid, but a few of these will certainly do a lot of damage. And alternatively, you can equip them with the Plague Spitters, which is a really good model because they're coming down the field, blasting them to pieces, though admittedly only hitting on 5s when they're moving, 6s once they're degraded, which is very bad. But if they get in range with their Plague Spitters, they'll be attacking with a 2d6 strength 7 heavy flamer, which is of course absolutely ridiculous. And they're just gonna if you want them to sit on objectives while blasting your opponent to pieces, they're good for that. 12 wounds, 3 up save, 5 up invulnerable, toughness 8. They ain't going to be dying anytime soon, so certainly a model worth putting on your list. And although at the very start might be quite expensive, certainly worth getting a few of these, and they're also quite cool models to paint and build. So that about concludes it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, remember to hit the like button and subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see new videos daily on your homepage. But for now, bye!